and they believed in me and they've been with me through my other careers and my other businesses. And so that really gave me the confidence to be like, oh, I do have a good skill set from these other careers that transitions over. I do know what I'm talking about.
Right. That brings up an amazingly powerful point.
And now for something completely different.
Welcome to
Surrounded by idiots.
Radio Podcast.
Hey, welcome back to the show. Today's guest, very special guest, is from Hawaii. I would ask you how the weather is, but it's 82 degrees and it's partly sunny and it rains every 10 minutes and then it doesn't, I'm sure. But it's Marina Tolentino. Hi, Marina. How are you?
Good. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm glad you're here. And I want to prep a little bit, the audience a little bit in terms of why you're here and the really cool thing that we're going to talk about today, which is actually the pandemic pivot. It's about changing jobs as a mom, as a woman during the pandemic, which is even a more fun and crazy time to be doing that, and into real estate nonetheless.
Yeah.
So, because I have 36 some odd years in real estate that I have my own, I still have the company still.
Oh my gosh,
so
awesome.
Marina is a director of ops for The Collaboration is the name of it, right? With over 100 top producing agents with eXp Realty, which is the realty with the realtors you work with, right? Her boundaries and clear vision of how not to start a business. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Helps entrepreneurs get clear about their priorities and build a business that serves them instead of falling prey to the hustle culture that dominates social media. And we just talked about that in regards to how they could be a three-headed monster or it could help you out. And this is the kicker here. So business owners with a focus on moms in real estate that want to escape the constant overwhelming of trying to do it all, which is a huge underlying issue here, right? It says you're on a mission to free agents from the traditional hamster wheel and instead design a life to be present and enjoy the ride.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, we're done. Thanks for being on the show.
Yeah. There's so much to unpack, but it's good.
Oh, that is, but again, I wanted to share that because that's exactly what we're going to talk about pretty much, right? In terms of the transition and the businesses stuff. So can you kind of start, pandemic-ish time in terms of setting the stage and then kind of roll through why you decided to change and then, the family thing and kind of throw it out there.
Absolutely. So early 2020, right? I was at the time carrying 3 businesses on my shoulders. I was a wedding planner. So I was doing that all over Hawaii and California. Loved it. It was awesome. And we never thought that something like the pandemic would happen and shut us down. And so things were going along hummingly. I would just delivered my baby in January of 2020. And then I also had my honey company, and I also had Rome Rentals, which is a staging company and a furniture rental company. So I was doing the prop styling and stuff for photo shoots too. So all kinds of fun, creative stuff all the time. And then March hit, and we were literally on a staycay at Ko'olina, which is one of the cool resort areas here on Oahu. And they were told us we couldn't go to the beach, and they told us events are shutting down, and they told us
They shut the beaches down?
Oh yeah, you couldn't go out to the. It was
I didn't
crazy.
know that. Oh my
Yes,
God. Okay.
it was so bad. So we're staring out of this beautiful hotel and like looking at the lagoon. We can't go outside. But at the time, so picture this: a 2-month-old, and then at the time a 5-year-old, and just going, "Oh my gosh, we are not going to see events for 2+ years." And it was true. It was just so horrific. So the next 30 days was brides demanding refunds left and right, like people in Australia who literally couldn't come to Hawaii. They were just locked in. It was horrible. And so as a business owner, you're scrambling, your savings is depleted because you're having to give deposits back and the money you've spent. Like it was super crazy.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, we had all this inventory with our rental furniture too. And so we're like holding inventory, holding storage, overhead is still happening. It was just a lot. And I had to decide, I was like, are we going to try to survive this and like deplete everything just to hang on, or what else are we going to do? And so I just kind of had this like light bulb moment of, well, you know what? I've already been staging homes. I've already been working with sellers. I've already been working with listing agents. I wonder if I could give real estate a shot. And so pretty much just took the plunge like a week later. I started my course a week later. I was just like super clear, like, hey, emergency, I need to do something and act quickly.
So you made that decision that quickly and then you took
Yes.
action that fast.
Yes.
Which
Like, I
is
didn't have
really
time.
right.
Yeah.
But really, which is the key. It's interesting how leverage really gets you to make a move, right?
Oh, yeah.
And your leverage is okay. Everything's gone down the crapper totally. We have no income coming in. And you said a honey business. Is that the second one that you were talking about?
Yeah, so we own Tolentino Honey Co. It's a family business that we have. We have a farm out in Waianae and a bunch of beehives.
Did
It's a
that
good.
keep some money coming in just to kind of hold on to
Yeah,
things?
some, but it's never been a huge income
Oh,
generator 'cause
okay.
it's a small, more like hobby business.
Mhm.
But we do retail to all the stores here, but it's not enough to like survive off of.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So let's go back. So you like boom, you're in. So you started taking your classes.
Yep. So literally it was it's still the fourth trimester basically with the kids. So in between naps, in between nursing, I would just squeeze it in as I could, responding to brides. Okay, do some real estate course. It was all online, which was awesome. So I could just
Mhm.
literally log in and it started timer of your pre-licensing course. Jammed it out within 2 months, the 60-hour requirement, which is pretty good. And then by June, I was fully licensed and locked in and ready to go. But it
Wow.
was terrifying.
Wow. And
Yeah.
of course that's June, going back, that's June of that first year, right? The
2020. Yes.
right, the COVID was hitting. Okay, so being in real estate at that time and understanding what was going on, I know that there was it was real sketchy. Like in
Oh,
terms of
yeah.
like inspections and getting in, and even how was it just getting
Mhm.
your license at that time and then trying to get a job right when everybody wasn't, within 10 feet of each other.
It was really interesting. And I would say I didn't even really have a concept of the business pre-COVID because I was just working with those sellers and doing the creative side. I didn't really understand how the whole flow of transactions work. I didn't see behind the curtain of a business of real estate. So this was brand new for me. It was like literally business boot camp 101. Luckily, I've been an entrepreneur before, so I knew I needed like a certain number of things in place and just binge all this information to get started. But yeah, I mean, it was showings had to be spaced apart. People were sanitizing homes in between. Open houses was one person at a time. And then, mind you, again, I didn't really have the perspective of what interest rates were before. And all of a sudden, we're at 3%, 2.5%, like crazy. So we'd have an open house with literally a line around the block of people, sanitizing in between, saying one family at a time. We're all masked up, gloved up. It was just insanity.
Would you say it was overwhelming?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, everyone and their mom wanted to buy a house, and I didn't know what I was doing, and it was
So you found yourself brand new. You took the plunge. You're in a brand new career. You're
Mhm.
in now. It's going 100 miles an hour. What's your emotional state through that? From the fact that you've, it seems like when you made your decision, you were just very clear on your
Yes.
intention, and because of the fact that you needed a job that was going to pay, because you've got people that depend on you, you've got family
Mhm.
and all that. Then you get into the whole thing where this starts to happen, and you start to get into the meat and potatoes, like the backroom stuff. For
Yeah.
any job, there's always many layers to the onion that you don't realize until you get in
Mhm.
it.
Yep.
So what was your mental state, and the ups and downs and stuff, and then how did you manage to kind of persevere through that?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's just the true analogy of a roller coaster. And one day you're up, one day you're down, and you're just all over the place. But more so than anything, I had to look back inside and like find this inner confidence because real estate is such a sharky, competitive industry.
Yeah, it
Like, if you
is.
don't know your stuff, agents are very mean. I'll just say that.
Very
Like, they're
mean
gonna
is an
put you in your
understatement.
place. Like, you don't know what you're talking about. Don't you know the
Yeah.
contract? Just all the things.
Mhm.
And so I was constantly feeling beat down and then also not knowing what expectations to set with clients because I was so desperate for business. I was up at 11 o'clock at night talking with clients that are crying to me that make me cry. And then it was just like this whole thing. And so I was living constantly in a state of reactivity. And it was so bad for my health and like just my peace, just everything, because you're just desperate for business, right? My
Mhm.
bank account's like dwindling. And at the same time, I feel not confident in the business. So you're grasping at this point. It's like we're drowning and we just want something. It
Yeah,
was, it was,
yeah, it's crazy. And knowing real estate as well, especially residential real estate, it
Mhm.
is very soap opera. It is very hold hand stuff. It is very emotional. It's a very
Yes.
emotional real estate market versus the commercial stuff. So you're dealing with that. You have no boundaries right now because you don't
Mhm.
really know that you really probably didn't even need
Yep.
boundaries, which the second you get in real estate, you realize you need big time boundaries.
Oh yeah.
So now you're in a position where you've got to establish those. You have
Mhm.
people calling you at 11, 12 o'clock crying, which doesn't surprise me at all. That happens all the time. So you're trying to deal with that. At the same time, you've got little ones, you've
Mm-hmm.
got family, you've got,
Mm-hmm.
and most importantly, you've got you,
Mm-hmm.
right? From a
Let's
self-care
not forget
perspective.
we were homeschooling this entire time.
Oh, okay. See, you didn't mention that part.
Because of the
So,
pandemic, the schools are
oh,
shut
that's
down.
right. That's right.
Yeah. So
And
we're
you're
doing Zoom
homeschooling.
school.
Okay,
Yeah.
so then let's talk about, because I know that from a working mom's perspective, and especially somebody that was going through a situation like you, it's insanely overwhelming and it's brand new. So you're on the learning curve too.
Mhm.
At the same time, what did you do to strike the balance? What did you do when it came in, when you did get too overwhelmed, or when you did start getting, the anger was starting, or the depression, or the physical issues, or
Yeah.
how did you manage through all those things?
Well, shout out to my husband for being the ear that he heard all of this. So definitely a lot of venting and like just letting it out because he has no idea, right? He's not in the real estate industry. He doesn't know any of this stuff. And we're lucky that we were self-employed, so he could stay home with the kids. We could shift parent a lot, and so we just like pass the baton. Okay, you're on duty. Okay, I'm gonna do this. Okay, you're on duty. But really, with the business stuff, it was going to my mentor and leader, which was Travis Ferris. He owns our team, and just saying, is this normal? Am I a crazy person? Or like, what am I doing wrong? What would you say in these situations? And just constantly going to that voice of reason. And then it can be like, oh, this person's absolutely bonkers, or no, you're in the right. Just stay strong, like keep their line. But negotiating was new for me. I wasn't really used to that. As far as contracts go, like with my creative stuff, it was just, here's my value. Either you book me or you don't.
Right.
With real estate, you're in a 30-day negotiation period. So there's a lot of back and forth. And that was new for me. So there was a lot of, well, how do I express what I'm trying to say without being offensive, and just really leaning on
Right.
his advice a
Yeah,
lot.
and that's the balance, and it's totally different from coming from almost an artistic
Yeah.
entrepreneurial background type of a thing.
Mhm.
How was your confidence through that?
All over the board. Literally, because I just didn't know what I didn't know. But I would
Mhm.
say by 6 months in, I definitely started to feel a sense of confidence because people were coming to me out of the woodworks all of a sudden. They noticed I was active on social media and they believed in me, and they've been with me through my other careers and my other businesses. And so that really gave me the confidence to be like, oh, I do have a good skill set from these other careers that transitions over. I do know what I'm talking about.
Right. That brings up an amazingly powerful point. And the point is that
Mhm.
at a lot, and especially for women, because when you guys get into something, especially something brand new, there's no competence, right? Because you just don't have any, because you've never done it before.
Yeah.
So, but for some reason, you guys, because you put so much pressure on yourself, and you have more refined, you just have a more refined mind, and you process things better. You put this pressure on yourself that you should be competent even in coming into something that is brand new. And that's the downward spiral, right? In terms of confidence, it just destroys it, because you're not competent and you have these expectations of you
Yeah.
needing to be that way. Whereas what you did was a great end around to that, which was
Mhm.
not looking at it from I'm competent with the real estate, or with this brand new thing, or with contracts, or with dealing with
Yeah.
these man children and women children out there that are calling me at midnight. You said, I got confidence from the true bottom line of people knowing who I am, and
Mhm.
coming in, and people understanding that they know that I am, that I am a good person, that I say
Yeah.
what I mean, that I have levels of integrity, and I would be a good person to work with. That's such
Mhm.
an important part of all of this, and something that is a really good shift in terms of the mindset, from
Mhm.
thinking that you need to be competent, to falling back and just saying, I'm gonna give it my best shot, because I'm a good person, and I know what I can bring to the table. And that's what it sounded like to you. How did it proceed from there? Did it make it easier to follow through and to continue on in your journey?
Absolutely. When you get a text or an email or a DM that says, we can't wait to work with you, you're the only one we want to work with, all of a sudden the light turns on and you're like, oh my gosh, they want to work with me. Why do they want to work with me? And it builds this confidence, and then it becomes a repetition. The more positive affirmations you get from clients, or even there was a lot of realtors who were telling me I was doing such an awesome job. And I was like, really? Like, I don't know what I'm doing, but thank you for noticing. But I
Hey,
think
just
goes back
take
to
it.
the
Just
work
take
ethic.
it. Right. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
I knew I had a really disciplined and I was going to go all in on this. And I showed up. I was the first to everything. I was always prepared. And you look around the room, and I mean, not to shame on realtors, but a lot of them are lazy and a lot of them just don't do what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, it's
So,
the nine. It's the 90-10. It's the
yeah,
90-10. You're right.
absolutely.
Did you ever have a situation to where somebody came in and just started? Because I know how agents are, especially residential agents. They're brutal. Did you have a situation where they tried to knock you down at the knees, and
Oh, yeah.
then what did you do, and how did you go about reframing things and doing a little program interrupting
Yeah.
to back into a
I had
positive
to
attitude?
end the call literally because it was so bad. So
Really? Well, we'll
he was
talk
just
about
going
that.
hammer at me. We were negotiating. My buyer was having some financial issues, so we were asking for an extension on one of the terms. And he was just like, "You should have known this. Like, what expectations are you setting? Like, you don't even know what you're talking about." Blah blah blah, and just like started hitting some of my little pressure points. And I was like, "Yo, this is gonna go real bad." And like, I was getting watery eyed just
Yeah.
listening to him talk to me. And so I said, "Excuse me, we need to pause this conversation. This isn't going anywhere positive or anywhere to solution. I'm going to hang up the phone and we're going to talk tomorrow." And and then I got off the phone and started bawling. So
Right.
I was like,
But right, but what a great move. You understood what your boundaries were in terms
yeah.
of being engaged with somebody that was like that. And you knew that it was a no-win situation, right? I
Oh,
mean,
no,
there it's
you can talk any reason. Yeah.
it's Sun Tzu in the Art of War, right? They say, hey, if you know you can't win the war, then don't fight it, right?
Mhm.
I mean, there's no way you're gonna turn this guy or anything's gonna
Yeah.
good is gonna come out of it. So you made the empowering move of
Mhm.
making your decision and creating your boundaries. So
Yeah.
that's great. In looking at what you went through and in terms of the business, because we've been talking mostly about that and how that's transpired and how that sort of manifested into the success that you have today, and then going so far as to you now
Yeah.
mentoring others in
Yeah.
doing this. How is it now with the family dynamic of the two kids, and you've got the job, the full-time, because real estate can totally be a full-time job plus like two full-time jobs,
Yeah.
and the kids and the balance. I always say it really helps to have a strong teammate, and it sounds like you have a really strong teammate. What
Mhm.
other things would you like to share in regards to the things that work to make all of that balanced and all of that productive?
Well, I'll just say as a realtor, you can never be a one-man show. And the sooner you realize that and start to accept that you need help, and that's actually going to build your business, is step number one. So by April of 2021, so almost at the 1 year mark, I made my first hire with a VA, virtual assistant. She was local here on island, but she worked remotely from home with her kids. And that was just like the aha moment of, oh my gosh, I can give you like 50% of my plates. Like, just take them all. Like, there's so much busy work and like admin stuff that I was doing and being caught up with, that it was causing the communication with my clients to suffer. It was causing my work life balance to suffer. And then once I had that aha moment of, wow, if I can handle all this off, how much more can I generate on the income side if I just focus more on the clients, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that was huge. And then really understanding and delegating the power of leverage. So getting into a leadership position, I knew that was something I wanted to go into if I wasn't going to go solo on my own. So we are on a team, but I wanted showing agents. I wanted people to show for me. There's no way realistically I could be showing 12 clients at the same time. Like, it just wasn't happening.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm leaning on the team, other new agents who might not have really little experience, but they want to get out there. They want to go open doors and help people out, talking to buyers. That's a great way to do it. And then I'm home. That's the best part. And then I
Mm-hmm.
just have to follow up. Hey, how did it go? Let's write a contract, So
Right.
it saves so much time.
Yeah, and then how does that work at home? Do you guys still split your time? He's also self-employed as well. And then how do you balance that thing with the babies and spending? And I know
Yeah.
I was a single dad, I was a girl dad for years, and it
Mhm.
was one of those things where I always obviously made it a priority, but you still sometimes the job speaks and it comes up and you have to do things because you need the job in order to survive and to take care of your
Totally.
children. So how does that happen? How does that work when things like that come up, and how do you handle
Mhm.
that?
So over communication always, because even if you don't say it, we all have expectations of how our evenings are going to go or our days off, right?
Mhm.
And so just setting the expectation with your partner to say, hey, this is my intention for this day coming up, or these are the things I have planned. It might change. Just letting them know there's even a little bit of gray area instead of them thinking it's a black and white is huge. But then a lot of the time it's just that shift parenting, that communication to say, I'm going to have to be flexible on the weekends. That's just part of this career. So just get that straight too. But I always have a couple nannies on standby if I need them, if my husband's not able. And then we do have in-laws here too. So I could always drive a couple minutes and drop them off. But yeah, as far as the nighttime stuff goes, I've just made that a boundary. Like after 4 or 5 p.m., I'm not answering it unless it's urgent. And I'm trying to actively filter and vet out every single text and call. I do respond to text still, but I try to be intentional about it where it's not attached to my hand the whole night. It's like, I'm going to check this every 30 minutes, just make sure I didn't miss anything. But that's family time. And actually, my husband did start a regular job, an employee job in the fall.
Mm.
So now we're fast forward 2023. So he works 3 12-hour shifts a week. And so that's 1 p.m. to 1 a.m. And that's interesting. That's been a big shift in our lifestyle and just time planning and things. But I kind of like it now that we're into it and we kind of get the groove. That's like 3 days of mommy time. That's how I think of it. Those are mommy's nights. We get to do fun things. And that's just like a quality time that with my husband, sometimes we're doing other things or running errands together. But with mommy nights, it's quiet, it's calm, and we like just fun things. So I
See
love it.
and that's the key, really, right? Structure, proper boundaries, and you had mentioned it, realistic expectations. Realistic. You don't have to be a people pleaser. You don't have to be there for everybody at every second of the day. You just don't. And because women are, you guys just are. You're more compassionate. You're more empathetic. You're more understanding. You feel as though you need to be there for people. You need to be there for your clients, all that. But you need to be there for yourself. And that leads me to the second to the last question I have is: there's the family, there's the job, and then there's you. Is everybody being taken care of? And how's the self-care going?
Absolutely. So I learned that the hard way through depleting my tank completely to like gassed out burnout situation. This was like 2021, 2022. So basically till summer of last year, I was just going 110% all the time, working around the clock. And it was just too much. 5 a.m. Zoom calls, drop offs, then back to the computer. And it was just, it was a lot. And I hit a stall where I was like, dang, I'm not gonna be, well, number one, I noticed I was not energetic when my kids did get home from school. I was like, let me be lazy on the couch. I don't even want to go outside with you guys. I just want to sit here and do nothing.
Yeah, you got nothing left, right? Yeah.
What the heck kind of
Yeah.
mom is that?
Yeah.
Like,
I
I
know.
can't even
I
get on
did
the
it. Yeah.
floor to play with you. Yeah. What I was doing with my time was making me that way. And I realized it because you see, like when your children first get home, they're so excited to play, like they're lit up in the eyes. And then you tell them you want to sit on the couch and watch TV and just like sadness.
Yes.
And I'm like, oh man, I am like breaking his heart right now by not like doing things and going bike riding and stuff. And that's all he wants to do is play with mommy. I realize how short the time is that we have when they're this young and they actually think we're cool. So I want to take advantage of it, like I know middle school's coming. So
Yeah, the think we're cool part ends quickly, I have to say. Sadly, it does, but it is what it is. So how old are your kids right now?
So he's 7, my son's 7, and my daughter's 3.
How about self-care? How are
Yeah.
you taking care of yourself in all of this, which is just
Absolutely, yeah.
as, if not more important than anything else?
So for me, it's time alone. Absolutely. Like no one either can be home or I'm going somewhere where I'm by myself. And then I've come up with like a joy list, like things that bring me joy that are just for me. So one of my favorite things is to just get a good home decor magazine, light a candle, get an iced coffee, and like that's my time. Or like going and getting a good book. And I love my self-development books, but also just like cookbooks. Like go to the library and get some cookbooks, get inspired, do something for fun. Going to get fresh flowers, like literally just like little things here and there throughout the week. But I notice if I go too long without doing that, then I start to get snappy and I start to like hit this like I have no limit, just like that's not the version I want to be. And so it's constant awareness of like, okay, it's Wednesday. I'm going to show up like the Marina that I want everyone to think I am, but also the Marina I want to feel like I want to feel, which is confident, which is happy, which is peaceful, not in a hurry, all of those things. But it's taken work. It's taken coaching. It's taken therapy. It's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, again, lean on the resources. There's absolutely nothing wrong with therapy. In fact, everything's right with therapy. Everything's right with coaching. I don't know anybody that's successful personally, and you probably the same way, that doesn't have some sort of a mentor and some sort of somebody that you can talk to, coach, a therapist, and whatnot. It's so vitally important. Last question. Let's say that that there is a working woman. There's a mom with kids, thinking about doing a transition into a different career. It doesn't have to be real estate, something. In that same exact mindset that you were at that time, maybe not because of the reasons, because, you know, but let's just say, what would be your biggest, you know, nugget of knowledge or advice in terms of somebody that is facing that particular major transition in their life?
So if you're gonna do a career transition, or maybe you're a stay-at-home mom and you're starting to enter the workforce, that's a huge thing too, where people feel like, I don't have any job skills. I have nothing on my resume. Like, I've just been a mom. What the heck do I do? I would come up with, like, write down your whole list of fears, like all the things that are holding you back or making you worry or feel like you're not enough, or comparison. Like, just write it all down. And then right opposing to that, you need to come up with an equal number of reasons of why you are valuable, why you are credible, why you do have all these skill sets. And then almost like outperform that, like come up with more things that are confidence building and like emboldening than the negative. And then anytime you're having that moment where you're frozen, failure to launch, like whatever it is, like go back to that list, put it on the mirror and read it out loud if you have to. Be like, I am beautiful. I am smart. I am disciplined, like whatever it is. And that'll just like step you out. But realize everybody is so unique and there is no such thing as oversaturation, because no one else can be you. So just be you to the fullest. Like, absolutely.
Oh my God, I couldn't say it, but that's a mic drop. We're just going to end it right there. Well, thank you, Marina. I really appreciate it. And can you give me a little bit, or give everybody a little bit of information how they can get in touch with you if they feel like, you know, chatting, coaching, mentoring, or even, you know, talking about real estate stuff?
Absolutely. Yep. So Instagram, I'm most active on. It's at Marina T Tolentino _. And then if you guys want, I have a free freebie. It's a PDF of all like 50 things you can delegate right off the top. So if you're feeling overwhelmed right now and you're like, I don't even know where to start, but I have no time for myself. I can't even remember the last time I went on a date night, like any of those issues. It's a great list to go through and just filter out your life. Like, what can you take off your plate right now? There's 50 things you could do. It's really great. Just DM me and I'm happy to do that. And my DMs are always open if you guys want questions or just talk mommy life. That's the best part, because you're not in it alone. We're all together.
Amen. Well, thank you, Marina. I really appreciate it. And I will talk to everybody next week. Thanks.
Thank you.